So yeah, graphics are super nice, but not everyone has graphics. So what you're gonna do when you don't have graphics and you wanna play some game from the 70s as well? Um, you do a little bit of research and you come with solutions, of course. So the topic for this talk is Pac-man, which was developed by a team of 5 Japanese people in 1979. There was a lead designer, Toru Iwatani, a mechanical engineer, a hardware person, a musician, a programmer, yeah, might come in handy, and some other guy. I don't recall what his function was. So the game was developed over 17 months in Z80 assembly on a specific arcade console. I developed this in 3 months in Forth on a text terminal, and yeah, this is about retro computing completely. The target platform is a single board computer of mine that uses also processor from the 90s. No cache, no branch prediction, no fancy shit. Does the job though. So yeah, 3 months in Forth. The development model was developed under GNU Forth, run on the platform. But I connected obviously my terminal to Linux, and that's how I did the bulk of the development. So I want to talk about this target platform, which is called Z79 Forth. So it's based on a derivative of the 6809 by Motorola. The name Z75 Forth covers both the hardware and the software. I started the hardware design in 2018, and after 3 months I had something. It was not complete, and it evolved over time, but it was satisfying, and I proceeded to develop the firmware itself. So Forth is the OS on this platform. There's nothing else. I had to write the BIOS layer completely to support things like serial communications and the compact flash mass storage. The Forth itself was originally written in Z assembly, Z80 assembly code in '83. It survived in the form of a printout, which was kept for 35 years in a trunk in my basement, but I dug it out and ported it to the 6809. So software-wise, you can go old style with a 79 standard subset, or the modern way for me, which is the ANS94 core word set. The platform has 32 kilobytes of RAM, 8 kilobytes of EEPROM, and plenty of mass storage. The console is implemented over an asynchronous serial line, which can be either USB or RS-232. The whole contraption is USB powered, and Paul has one. If you're interested, he can show it to you. The DEC VT420 is a text terminal, which was supposed to be low cost, but you know it's DEC, so it's still pricey. It's a monochrome text terminal. It's based around the 8031 microcontroller by Intel. The terminal was introduced in 1990. It supports dual sessions, but yeah, that DEC 422 connector is completely esoteric, and I'm not sure you can even buy one if you wanted to. The screen itself is a 14-inch that supports 800 by 400 graphics. This is important for the rest of the talk. Yeah, we have VT52 controlled sequences, which is called ANSI by DEC. Flow control is software-based, X on X off. But the important thing for this project was the support for user downloadable fonts. So I did a bit of research, of course, because this is an ambitious project of sorts. This is the original Namco design. I didn't like it too much. First, of course, the colors will have to go, but there is a tunnel on the side here. Animated objects can go out this way and come back on the other side. So I didn't like that too much. I went for this design, which was released by Bear Thorners. Target is X11 POSIX, and it's a C++ application. I looked at the code and I thought that an object-oriented approach for this project would be most appropriate, so I went for that. The principle of the game is you have 4 ghosts, which are initially in those positions. Those are said to be inside the pen. There's a door here. Each of these ghosts has its own look and feel, and their own moving policy. We'll see about that later. So I went for this topology, but what I call the business rules, the gameplay, and the ghost moving policy, everything has been kept as close as possible to the original. This is Pac-Man here. It looks like a pizza with a missing slice. I call Pac-Man and the 4 ghosts entities. We'll see about that later. Inside of this maze, there are collectible items, which can be dots or pills, and power pellets, which give Pac-Man some limited immunity against the ghosts. Essentially, when Pac-Man goes over a power pellet, the ghosts become frightened, and they are vulnerable. They can be killed by Pac-Man himself. This is an outline of my approach to this problem. I started with the graphical layer, which involved a user-defined font. This was time-consuming. And then I started what I call the business layer, which is the game logic. So I had to identify these objects and their properties, and start implementing ghost moving policies. The ghosts have to preserve those collectible items here, obviously, when they move. On the other hand, Pac-Man's policy is to gather those, and the game has to maintain the score, detect collisions, keep track of remaining lives. After that, I implemented what is called AI integration. I have to tell you about the key reference document. It was called the Pac-Man dossier by Jamie Pittman. In this document, he analyzes the game completely down to implementation bugs. It's a phenomenal reference. So yeah, business layer refinement, so differentiated ghost moving policies. Then testing, which testing is fun because you get to play the game, of course, but you get also to fix the bugs. Later on, there was some interest for the VT420, so I bought one. The 340 is a color text terminal, color graphic terminal with restrictions, and the graphic mode is driven by a language called Regis, a remote graphic instruction set. It's It says it's digital, so the documentation is very complete, but sometimes heavy. After that, I ported the code to C under Linux initially, and then under VMS. We'll get to that later. Okay. Presentation layer. Yeah. So I went object-oriented using GNU-Forth structures, and this is standardized by this committee in Forth 2012. The Thornaris topology, because I wanted to avoid this hyperspace on the sides of the maze. Then I selected a mapping between this and the equivalent textual representation on the terminal, and it comes down to 33 double width characters and 23 physical rows. The game engine is based on time-based scheduler using a fixed time slice. I experimented with variable time slice in order to make the game progressively more difficult, but it's too much of a problem. So no interrupts, no exceptions, except with GNU-Forth, and essentially when you hit Ctrl-C under GNU-Forth, you have a way to catch that and restore the terminal initial conditions. I don't have that facility in the Z79 Forth at this time. In order to preserve, you see, I'm using double width character, and so I move my half a character horizontally. So in order to compensate for that, vertically I move twice as slowly in a virtual space. So essentially, my entities evolve in an environment that is 4 times as big as the physical space. So about font design, because it took me 12 days. Essentially, for each character, double width character, you need to have, so that's the ghosts, Pac-man in each going direction, gobbling, non-gobbling, up, down. All the maze elements are represented by a character pair like this. This has to be specified via this protocol here, DEC download. And it is specified as a sequence of 6 cells. 6 cell is a group of 6 bits. See group A here, vertical. Firstly, the first group is transmitted, and the second group, the third group. Okay. Characters are defined in a matrix 10 by 16 here. So that's 3 6 cells, 3 groups, and you end up with those funny-looking ASCII sequences here. So, yeah, I touched on that before. I used standard structures inspired by GNU-Forth. No inheritance, and field and C fields are enough for my dark purposes. I have 2 methods. Strategy, which decides for each target how we're going to move, and a display method, which is called by strategy. Resurrection flag for the goats, rewards, because this is used when Pac-man collects a power planet, the ghosts become frightened, and the reward increases exponentially This is the position of the entity, the starting position. This is used to handle obscured characters by the ghost and restore them, and on and on. This is the technique I use to execute a method. It's really not complicated at all. Basic scheduling. It's a loop. It's really very, very simple. Begin again until you're dead. I have omitted some code here because it would obscure the message. But essentially, for each entity, Pac-man first, then each of the ghosts, you call the strategy routine. Then you wait a bit. And this is the critical thing. This is what I call the time slice. Yeah, it assumes that essentially all strategy methods execute in about the same time, which is the case in practice. Yeah, everybody's treated the same way. More business layer. The game designers spent a lot of time on this, on the rules, and they decided to alternate between phases of scattering, so the ghosts converge toward the home corners, which are at every corner of the maze here. Pinky is the red one, Blinky is the cyan one, Clyde is the blue one, and no, that's not the correct order. Anyway, they each have a name and specific moving policies. So scatter mode, they converge to the home corners. In chase mode, they converge ideally on Pac-man, but it's more complicated than that. So there is another scheduler that handles the transitions between those modes. So here you have the time period. We spent 7 seconds in scatter mode, which is the initial mode, then 20 in chase, and so on and on and on and on. And this changes with game levels. I wrote a tool to simulate this model because it was easier than to act the game directly in the first place. Yeah, this is the differentiated ghost moving strategy. In essence, Blinky, the red one, targets Pac-man current location, so it's the most dangerous, obviously. Pinky targets a tile that is 4 tiles ahead of Pac-man. Inky is the most complex one. Targets the end of a vector twice as long as the one originating from Blinky to Pac-man's current moving position extrapolated by 4 half times. You have to sit down and really measure what this means, but with the Pac-man dossier, it's quite easy. The code is, supporting code for this is, yeah, reasonable. So there is a generic routine. You realize that for each of these entities, this defines the target. There is a generic routine that is used to navigate to targets, given the target coordinates and the entity pointer. The idea is that when an entity reaches an intersection where multiple directions are possible, we choose the optimal direction that minimizes the distance to the target. It's heavy code too. Okay, then on to the Linux port. POSIX, of course, what else? There's the free POSIX. It's nice, it's free, but it's only drafts. And if you want the official specification, it's expensive, even if you're a member, which I am. I decided to go for a 32-bit cell because VMS is 32-bit, and so is OpenSolaris. OpenSolaris is also a target candidate for other reasons. So in C, you have to set up the terminal in row mode, which and obviously disable the echo feature. So that's something EuroForth does in term and prep. I looked at that code. I decided to write my own in the end. I also prototyped a few basic Forth primitives. You don't need very many to do this. Of course, you need things like emit, dot code, but those are trivial. Under VMS, you don't have the full POSIX set. So you can't do TC getout, TC setout, so you have to use curses instead. Yeah, select is in the network layer. This just changes the include files you have to use. No big deal. So the C port was a matter of, I think, 3 weeks tops. It took me a long time because I was rusty in C. I hadn't programmed in it for a very long time. So how does this work? It works really, really well under EuroForth. Under Z79 Forth, it's real time because it's not a multitasking system, so you have instant feedback. It's super nice. EuroForth Linux works well. You have to tweak AGT and specify the control flow characters. This could be only because I'm missing a term info entry for the VT420. C Linux native, I have to repeat the experiment. I've had better than EuroForth results in those conditions, and worse as well. I don't fully understand. I have to repeat the experience. Under VMS, it was unfortunately a disaster. I had to downgrade the terminal speed from 38400 down to 9600 bit per second. Otherwise, software flow control would not work. So I'm reaching my conclusions. I forgot to start my time watch. Where am I? Time. Okay. The firmware needs to support exceptions. Really, that's a requirement. It's hard because I have 9 bytes of EEPROM left. Yeah, I have to continue on the C implementations. I couldn't get curses to work properly under Linux, which is why I resurrected OpenSolaris. But in OpenSolaris, you have other problems, like setting up a terminal under System 5 is challenging, even for me. So, global conclusion, Forth is incredibly powerful. You can do gaming, even if it's retro gaming. Standards are important, the Forth standard and POSIX standard. And if you develop custom prototyping tools, this can really save your day in terms of development time. That's all.
So,
questions?
Questions, please.
Thank you. Francois, do you happen to have a screenshot anywhere of your work?
No.
Okay. Can you show it to us
That,
maybe
the
later?
only way I could do that would have been to take a photo
Of the physical terminal, right?
Yeah, I have some photos somewhere on Facebook. So yeah, I can, but I have to dig them out.
Okay. And how?
And it is really problematic because you cannot run this into a terminal emulator. If you run it under Xterm, you have the renditions of the characters in ASCII, you know.
So do you also have play tested it? So got other people and sit in front of it and test it by them?
I showcased it at the Vintage Computer Festival in Munich. I had some success. I had brought two terminals, so the 420 and the 340. And I even got interest from the chief editor of AccuDay, who was there.
Cool.
And he thought it was cool.
Very cool. Okay, thank you.
So, oh.
We have people being polite.
Actually, I've got 2 points here. Firstly, I note that a VT420 terminal can be obtained for $180 plus £134.35 carriage, but the screen is slightly faded. And the second thing is that if you happen to be wanting to use a CUME terminal, I have a CUME terminal emulator written in VFX.
Does it support the DEC download feature?
I did it specifically for CUME, which uses a different protocol from DEC.
Ah. Okay. Yeah, I paid my 420 200 euros as well. Yeah.
But the CUMEs, you can't find them anywhere on YouTube, on YouTube, eBay or anything. Really big problem. So we have a nice line in selling CUME emulators. Yeah. Sorry.
No worries.
That's it.
I love this little paper. At some point, Pablo Hugo really sympathized with the utterly futile nature of the project. I think it's quite heroic.
Well,
You know, and it reads very well.
there are a few pieces of humor item, especially at the end. When I speak about at this point, it is clear that more research is needed.
Thank you.